Orphan protagonists are often looked at as a useless burden in life. Losing their parents and growing up either on the streets or taking into a family, it's quite the hardship life if you ask me. But what if I told you that those types of protagonists are in fact more powerful than they look, with abilities they wield that can manage to save the world from whatever danger comes their way? Today's video will be taking a look at 10 anime where the main character shows his overpowered strength. If you're new around here, then please make sure that you subscribe to the channel with the notification bell icon turned on to stay up to date with the latest anime news and recommendations right at your doorstep. Now, without keeping you all waiting, let us begin with the video. I think it's time to start this list with a newly airing banger anime series from the winter 2023 season, and its Malevolent Spirits Mononogatari. At first glance, the show on paper seems like a variation on similar themes such as Noragami, with a few flakes of shonen thrown in. From the first few minutes though, this show seems great, but it does fall quite a little bit short on some things. The show really seems like it's trying very hard to be everything at once. Luckily, however, the pacing is quick enough that it doesn't get boring at all. The animation quality is both mediocre and amazing at the same time. The reason for this is that, anytime there is any real action happening, it's non-stop that will keep you on your toes wanting more, and it does it perfectly, which is, in my opinion, it is worth a try. Now, if you're looking for, let's say, a dark mystery-themed series filled with action and also the aspect of time travel, then you have to check out Summertime Rendering. Basically, if you enjoyed Re:Zero, then you have to watch this since it's practically almost the same with its time travel concept. The protagonist Shinpei has the power to go back in time through a checkpoint system after dying to repeat and replan strategies against evil entities known as shadow monsters. Of course, you don't really get that until later on because this anime begins with the air of slice of life anime with lighthearted and clean story. But as the story goes on, one can find themselves drawn into a storyline that is so amazingly intriguing and engaging. It's so underrated that more people really have to watch it. There is so much talk about guns, wars, armed dealers, and even child soldiers, but for those who are wanting to get into some fast action type, the type of series involving kick-ass music, or even the type of series involving a main protagonist being kinda crazy, or blood being splattered all over the screen, then this series is definitely something to keep an eye on. To be honest, this is the type of show that can make any fan of the action genre glued to the screen with its blood-packing, spilling, rapid violence, and gun dominance at first glance. The first episode really kicks off already with some full-throttle road war, and those bullets fly across all over the screen. It wastes little to no time in conveying the hazards' occupation and the brutality of being an arms dealer. At the same time, it also finds ways to make the series relaxing through some heartwarming moments and comedic scenes. Laughing Under the Crowns is an incredibly rare breed of an anime series. I say this for its ability to tell a story guided by events of the past with a greater focus for the future. Taking place in the present time with a trio of brothers, they have the duty of ferrying convicted criminals as a result of high levels of crime rate. That's the least of their concern though, as we find out more of the malevolent legend known as the Orochi that lurks from the past. Brace yourself for a story of fantasy coming ages. The most important element of the show is easily the characters, which is the biggest reason why you should be watching the show in the first place. How about this time a vampire-themed revenge storyline where humans and vampires fight for their rights as both clans come into contact since they each have a goal in mind. This here is called Awarai no Seraph.
ゲンドモの欲望があんなにも醜く勇者に絡みついてる。くそ人間どもが
Humans were treated as livestock for the vampires since they lived in sort of a farm facility, so the vampires could pretty much just take advantage of them for their lustful thirst in blood. But upon trying to plan an escape, the protagonist Yuichiro lost his friends and also his brother Mika and swore to take his revenge. Of course, it won't be long, however, before he notices that his brother was forced to actually join the vampires, which is quite the intense situation. Awarai no Seraph is a bit of a paltry when it comes to its dark atmosphere. The story obviously has a grim tone to it, but can never really capture that objective. The improper timing of the humor kinda holds the show back on many occasions. Fortunately though, the series does establish its meaning well, so understanding its intentions isn't actually that hard. Black Bullet is a pretty cool anime. It's centered around two protagonists, one being an orphan kid who grew up to enter an academy and be a part of a secret organization for civil security and was given a cursed child, or even his very own partner with superhuman abilities to aid him during battle. The premise actually initially sounds interesting, taking place in a futuristic setting in the year of 2031. Humanity lives behind walls of monolithic material for survival. It kinda almost sounds like a copycat to Attack on Titan, and honestly, it kinda is, but of course it does has its own twists in it which make it kinda unique and enjoyable. Black Bullet tells the story of a young promoter named Rentaro and his roles against the monsters known as Gastria.
Kojiro の信用をなくしちまった。周りを騙すつもりなんてなかったよ。
At first I thought Orion was quite unclear on the path it's going because it seemed that many plot holes were left behind, including the power system that people often talk about. But in my opinion, the execution of the episodes actually managed to change things, from plot holes to cliffhangers, which will really keep you glued to see what happens next. And I think this is a really good thing. Is this is actually written by the author who did Magi, but to be straight up truthful to you guys, don't expect Orion to be on the same level of how insanely good Magi was, since this is quite a downgrade, but still fun to watch if you like samurai action and demon slaying. Let me ask you this question. Now, how would you feel if you get reincarnated into another world as a poor orphan child and receive extraordinary powers from a goddess? That sounds too good to be true, but that's exactly what happens with the protagonist Ryo after he got isekai'd to another world from a train crash. He saves a princess from getting kidnapped and was offered a chance to join a prestigious academy filled with highly classed nobles, making him the only commoner where things can go wrong, such as, you know, him getting bullied. But of course, as we all know, commoners easily overpower nobles in anime. In terms of overused materials, this anime has them all. Cliché plots, generic Kirito type character, and a harem all to himself, you name it, all of this stuff will be present in this anime. Once in a while here and there, I'd like to actually recommend some Chinese anime series that I've checked out, and one of them is called Lishi, following a protagonist named Nanjo who is an orphan and unemployed boy who used to live with his grandmother before she passed away. But after spending some time as a homeless, Nanjo finally goes back to his grandmother's house, and there he finds a mysterious magic book, and he actually decides to use it and do some summoning magic to where something interesting does happen in his life to the point where he has the power to do what any person could have wanted.
嚯，小胖子挺厉害嘛！
どういうことだよこれ。
とりあえず
Now to end this list off with a very underrated anime that is a vampire-themed one with cool action fights of humans and vampire servants fighting in an all-out tournament. This is called Servamp. Now there's no denying that Servamp has the usual, things that you'd expect from anything involving vampires, like the vampires' increased regeneration, strength, and all that stuff. I think it was a new idea though to have them bonded to humans. I would love to, give this anime a higher rating for myself because I think it did great because with all the kind of plots and the foundations of awesome characters with cool powers, this story can go quite far. But because of the plot holes, the rushed ending, the undeveloped characters, sometimes you don't really get everything you would have hoped for. But at the very least, it was still a very entertaining anime I've watched.
今から俺が何をしようが俺に責任はねえ
You just made it to the end of the video and witnessed 10 anime where the main character shows his overpowered strength. If I've managed to leave any anime out in particular that you thought would be a great issue on the list, then please let me know in the comment section down below, as I'd love to hear your very new opinion, or just comment down below what you thought about the video in general, as I'd always appreciate the feedback. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.